Here are my top 5 firewood stacking tips. 5.5, don't drop them on the ground. Tip number 5, cut and split your logs evenly. The more uniform you can make your logs or your pieces of firewood, the higher and straighter you can stack them, resulting in a larger stack. I tend to save all my oddballs to stick up at the top. That way I can keep my stacks nice, neat, and straight. Tip number 4, decide on a stacking pattern. Are you going to stack in a woodshed? Are you going to stack in between sets of trees? Are you going to go with like a custom rack with runners? Or are you going to do one of those cool circle firewood huts? Tip number 3, stack with airflow in mind. You don't want every single little gap filled. You want some airflow making it back to different parts of your pile. Now, wood dries mostly from the ends, not from the sides. However, you don't want to stack side to side if you can help it. If you split a log, you don't want to put the log back together the way it was before you split it and expect it to dry. So tip number 3, stack logs with airflow in mind. Tip number 2, cover but leave your sides exposed. You don't want to throw a tarp over the whole thing. All it's going to do is trap moisture. There's several different ways you can cover your wood. You can use cut up sheets of plywood. You can use sheets of steel. Steel you normally could get a double row underneath one sheet. You could stack it in a woodshed like I have, or you could use a firewood tarp, which are normally 3 to 4 feet wide and long enough to cover a stack. But you don't want to cover the sides because that's just going to trap in moisture. My number 1 firewood tip is get the wood off the ground. You can use a custom rack or a purchased rack, something with runners. I like to use pieces of popple because I have a ton of popples in my property. I can cut them down and stick them underneath the wood to get it off the ground. You could use slabs from a sawmill or just about anything to get it off the ground. Anytime that it's in contact with the ground, it's going to be absorbing moisture, or it could be getting insects, termites, that type of thing. So always get it off the ground.